we spend thousands of dollars on video production, and by the time we get it back, it's irrelevant. If you can deal with the startup madness and understand even a little bit about how large companies operate, you can implement processes earlier and save yourself a lot of headaches. AI is just a piece of that implementation. For us, it's not just AI, it's AI. It's the way the cloud is architected. It's the workflow. It's the user experience, both for the customer and for our internal team. It's interesting because innovation isn't a linear line, right? It's like this. And so we're constantly pivoting. We're constantly changing directions.
Welcome. This is an Hour of Innovation podcast. I'm your host, Vit Lyoshin. Amer Tadayon joins me today to talk about innovation and leveraging AI in video production. Welcome, Amer. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Vit.
So before we jump into the company and what you're doing with your product, can you tell us a little bit about your background and the work that you do today?
Sure. My background's a little varied. I started my career in engineering and computer science, and then I kind of rolled into sales and marketing. And then I took a left turn and decided to be a filmmaker. I did that for quite a while, for about 7-8 years. Then I got back into tech and I'm consulting, basically, global consulting. And so what I do now is really connecting the dots between everything I've done in my entire career. It's a company called Lucihub. It's an AI-powered video production platform that combines tech and video production and AI all on one platform.
Okay, pretty cool. And I know from your background, you held leadership positions in big and large companies.
Yeah.
So how will that experience shape your overall approach to innovation and entrepreneurship?
So I started in big companies and I thought I knew everything. And I went and started my first company and I realized I didn't know anything. And so the combination has actually been very helpful as an entrepreneur because I had a few companies that didn't work and I learned so many lessons from them. But the ones that did work, I was able to apply the lessons learned in big business on how to actually grow them and scale them as they were getting larger and larger. So I would tell any entrepreneur, if you could get both skill sets, it's really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like knowing how to deal with large companies, bureaucracies, and also how to deal with startups, madness.
Well, if you can deal with the startup madness and understand even a little bit about how large companies operate, you can implement processes earlier and save yourself a lot of headaches. With this particular company and the last company I had, it was an expensive investment, but we invested in CRM tools and business operation tools and things like that right out of the gate so that we could keep everything clean, have good reporting, have good systems from day one or, year one, basically. And if you're an entrepreneur who hasn't been there, you don't know that. And so you're doing, like everybody else, we started with spreadsheets and docs, but with the last two companies, we very quickly grew up because we knew it would be a problem and we were able to keep track of things much better and run the business much better.
Yeah, that's a great lesson. Yeah. So let's talk about Lucihub and basically what gap did you see in the market or problem? And how did you come up with this idea?
Honestly, I wasn't planning on anything. I'm a musician. I was going to take a year off after the last company and play music, and I was having lunch with an agency executive who said we spend thousands of dollars on video production, and by the time we get it back, it's irrelevant. The videos are irrelevant. And that kind of took me down this whole rabbit hole of how is it that the demand for video content has increased significantly, but the way it's being done is still fairly the same as it was 10, 15 years ago. And so you've got this huge demand that people have on video content, but the cost for video content and the time to turn it around is so much that a lot of companies can't afford to do everything they want to do because it's just cost prohibitive. And so what I set out to solve is how do you create quality videos at speed and scale and kind of turn the whole video production process upside down, enable the marketers, the brands, the entrepreneurs to do a lot of, because this thing does a lot for you. And so how do you enable them to do all the filming and all the pre-production and then take them to the finish line professionally. Everybody has video on their phones. Nobody wants to edit it. So that's kind of the idea behind Lucihub.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I would imagine that with TikToks and Reels and these short videos also, everybody shooting videos left and right. But if you like trying to launch an ad campaign or something, you have to have quality. I know a little bit about it. I used to have fitness brand, and it was really challenging for how to recruit people, influencers, and shoot all these videos. Yeah, that's a big challenge.
Yeah, I mean, so before Lucihub, you had two options. You had professional production, which is always high quality, but it's also extremely expensive and it takes a lot of time. Or you have one of dozens of DIY tools in the market where you can do the work yourself, but that's a lot of time and the quality lacks. And so we kind of sit right in between both of those services. You do all the pre-production and filming, and we do all the finishing. And so chances of getting a really good product are pretty solid. And if you look at the market today, lo-fi content is actually converting higher than hi-fi content, and there's a lot more of it. So that's really the market we're going after. I don't think anyone's ever going to use. Well, I shouldn't say ever. Right now, people aren't using us to create broadcast quality commercials. Maybe they will in a year or two. Right now, it's mostly, and we're really in the business of corporate videos. So right now, it's explainer videos, it's learning and development videos, it's executive messages. It's testimonials, right? It's everything that the enterprise has to do that they typically don't either have resources for, don't have the budgets for.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I see this trend now in advertisement industry, for example, when people trying to create videos that look like, some amateur made them basically, not
Yeah.
really like professional studio or nice colors and things like that. But in some other places, you definitely want that quality, like training videos. That's very appealing to customers, for sure. Yeah,
So that's where we play.
yeah. So how exactly is AI is being leveraged in Lucihub?
So interesting question because we started Lucihub in 2022 when Gen AI wasn't really prolific yet. Nobody knew about it. And so we were using computer vision and machine learning on the back end to accelerate edits. And so what really gave us a lot of efficiency was not just the AI, but the way we implemented the system. Just the process we built with automation gave us a lot of efficiencies. And then where AI kind of played a role is it pushed it to the next level from an efficiency standpoint. But then chat came out and Gen AI was available, and we were a Microsoft Founders Hub member, so we had access to Azure OpenAI, and we started using it internally, and it really solved a lot of challenges for us as a startup. One of them is we were able to get a lot done with a lot less people. And for a startup, it's challenging, right? You only have so much resource, you only have so many dollars, and so we thought, if we externalize this platform and make it part of Lucihub, now our customers can actually go from idea to final versus production to final. And so Lucihub today is a lot different. It's really three products and tool sets under one platform. So you have a whole suite of what we call promptless AI tools because you don't have to know prompt engineering to use them. It's an entire production platform that you can use to upload video content and actually manage the delivery cycle with your teams. And it's a professional team all inside of this one platform. It's really evolved over the last 2.5 years.
I see. And I imagine you already have users and customers.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you incorporate feedback from them and balancing all those requests coming in from them?
So I'm a pretty big UX UI guy and design research guy, and I'm really big on getting feedback on everything we do. And so, our product is a SaaS product, so it's constantly being iterated. There's new releases every 2, 3, 4 weeks, and we really do lean on customer feedback because you'll build something and then you'll throw it out in the wild, and you'll see a million ways that it's being used that you never even thought about. Like we never thought about our tool set being used with HR departments, but this year, HR videos were one of the number one deliveries we did for clients. And so we have to take all this feedback, and then we kind of look at what feedback is pertinent across the entire line of customers and what feedback is, what may be an edge case, and then we prioritize. But we get some really solid feedback from clients, especially the ones that have leaned into it and really adopted it.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I actually see in my organization those training videos from HR, they started being more like real people going, doing something and explaining your stuff versus PowerPoints or cartoons
Yeah.
from like 5, 10 years ago.
We're actually creating a tool for our product that'll intake the PowerPoint, convert it into a script, and then you can turn it into a video and a voiceover and take that PowerPoint and literally turn it into a video instead. So,
Wow, that's pretty cool. That could be useful for many like YouTubers out there who doing educational stuff, online courses,
yeah.
things like that. Yeah, pretty cool. So you mentioned a little bit about your differentiation, like you sit in that in the middle. Can you explain a little bit more how you're different from any other editing tool, maybe?
Yeah, so I think the biggest differentiator is we're people plus tech. So most of the tools out there are pure software, and we're software and a managed service. And so what we really do is we let the customer take it 80% of the way. So they get to have, complete input on the script. They get to have complete input on shot list they want. They get to design everything, and then they get to go film their content or use their stock footage. And then our professional edit team, our professional production team takes it to the kind of the last mile. So we call it, the last pass delivery. So it's you get it all the way there, and we'll make it look beautiful for you, which is usually
Hmm.
where most of these teams fall short. They either don't have the skills or the time to do it. And we have a pretty aggressive service level agreement where our clients get videos back within 72 hours, some of them within 2 hours, depending on their needs.
Okay, and what they're finishing in these last steps? They're just like polishing something,
It's the
or
actual post production. So
okay.
let's take this podcast for example. You could upload it to our cloud and say, Amr, I want to do 4 cut downs of this
Hmm.
podcast so I can use them on social media, and our team would actually do the cut downs for you, and you might give instructions to use overlays or a B-roll or any of that stuff, and it's literally a professional edit versus an AI edit. And I think that's the main differentiator. People are leaning on technology and AI for 100% of the work, and it's just not there. And I have a line. It's design and what we do is art is subjective, right? It's going to require human touch.
Yeah.
So we always have professional team bring it to the last mile.
Yeah, that's great because I had somebody earlier, like in the summertime, and he's a like a consultant who deploys AI tools to organizations, and he said
Mhm.
that you have to have this human touch in testing your solutions, in deploying your solutions to verify that AI is actually doing a good job for you. Because I find many tools myself, whenever I use them, it looks weird sometimes. It's maybe
Yeah,
10%, 20%, they get it right, but the rest is all kind of like waste. You have to redo it anyways. So
yeah.
yeah, that's
So
great.
we try to the goal with Lucihub is professional quality at speed and scale, and that's really the challenge we're trying to solve.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's great.
And AI is just a piece of that implementation. For us, it's not just AI, it's AI. It's the way the cloud is architected. It's the workflow. It's the user experience both for the customer and for our internal team. So it's a
Hmm.
combination of everything that's making it work.
Do you also have self-service mode?
We don't today. We on the pre-production side we do. You can create a
Okay.
script, you can go do a voiceover, you can go do a shot list, you can do social media posts, and it's all promptless. You can do that. But getting the final edit requires a professional editor. And
Got it.
that's really why customers sign up for it.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you have any big features coming out that you're excited about that
Yeah,
you
we
can
do.
share?
We have actually something that'd be great for you. It's a text editor, so you'll be able to upload your podcast. It'll extract the text for you, and you'll be able to select the cut down you want, and it'll automatically edit it for you. And then you can just save it, or you can push it to us, and we'll clean it up and add more to it.
So you edit text and it will edit the video
It'll
that
edit
relates
your
to the
podcast,
text.
for example. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
designed for podcast cut downs and
Hmm.
client interviews.
Okay. Cool. Interesting. Yeah. So you can actually edit with text. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think for the future with expansion of AI and new things coming up? What would be some of the like great opportunities for tool like yours to leverage?
I think I think what we've heard from our customers at least is that our tool is helping them create content that they typically wouldn't be able to create, primarily because they wouldn't have the budget or the resources for it. We've made it so simple and we've made it so cost effective that we have certain clients that are we have certain clients that are doing 50, 60 videos of one theme, whereas prior to this they could only afford maybe to do three or four. So
Mm.
we're giving businesses an opportunity to do a whole lot more with a whole lot less, which just didn't exist, even a year ago. And the AI, we're constantly iterating, so we're constantly adding AI tools, or we're constantly enhancing the platform using AI and other technologies too. But it's I don't want to just lean in AI because I think what we built requires a lot more than just AI.
Okay, yeah, that's lead me to the next question. How you leverage it in terms of being ethical or maybe creative even? Do you see any opportunities there, or like is AI getting better at this?
I mean, I think it's going to continue to get better and better. It's an interesting time. It's an exciting time, and like anything else, it could be used for good or bad.
Hmm.
What we've seen is, even though we're deploying some really incredible technology on our platform, it's still taking people to do the work. It's not just doing the work, and I think that's something that's being lost on people. Right now, it's just a tool, and you still need the people to execute. You still need the people to give it the inputs and the prompts. It's not just going to do it. And like you and many other people have experienced, it's just not that good yet to be able to do 100% of the work. And so, I don't even think we talk about the AI as much on our marketing and our platform. We talk about the problem we solve, and we've incorporated, a ton of tech, including AI, to get that job done.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great assistant, and it can help you speed up. If you have a skill of video editing, it will improve that. It will make it for you to do faster.
Yeah.
But will it be perfect, or will it be smart enough? Maybe not yet. It needs a little bit more time. But I also worried about ethics about it. Like I hear all the stories about deep fakes and how they can damage people's reputations and even more than that. So do you see any ways to like prevent that, or put some sort of like stamp that this was done properly?
So we actually think about that internally, and we have some ideas we're working on. I think what we're doing is a small problem compared to what the Microsofts and Googles of the world have to deal with, because it is a
Yeah.
problem. We've got a couple of ways around it, but um, I think the bigger challenge is, anytime there's some great technology, people who intend to do bad get their hands on it regardless. And so I think the
Hmm.
bigger conversation is, how do you limit that piece of it? I don't think it's going to be, you know, all or nothing. I think it's, how do you limit it, because it's going to happen. It's already happening.
Yeah, that's right. And it's so many things right now on the internet that's going on about it. And I think it's gonna go even more and more with deep fakes and like all kind of crazy stuff. But at the same time, it's also probably gonna get better at creativity. For example, if you're given the right prompt to the AI, it can help you. It can get better results over time. So that's for sure.
Well, there's a lot happening in the space with AI. There's stuff happening with, non-linear AI video generation, editing, and storyboard development. A lot of things on the film side of the business, which we don't really play on. We're focused on corporate videos, but there's a lot of interesting things happening. So, and I think it's going to continue to happen. I think the landscape of filmmaking is going to change fundamentally, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah. Do you see it's ever going to like Hollywood type production?
Oh yeah,
Or
it's already there. It's already there. Again, it's not a space we play in, but there are other companies that are really running 100 miles an hour to get things done there. One of the things I've seen is the storyboard management and creation is one of them.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I think it's all over, and it's going to be there for sure.
Yeah, I guess all sorts of entertainment, for that matter,
Yeah.
um, are gonna be replacing people doing dangerous tricks. Yeah. Okay,
Yes.
that's great. So, what are there maybe some other areas that you experimenting with or trying to expand, Lucihub?
We're so we may expand into the film industry in the sense that not necessarily on the creative side, but on the post side. Some of the tools that we've created really lend themselves well to the post production process in filmmaking, and we've been working with a couple of studios who seen real efficiencies with working with us, and the way we're able to deliver quality. So we may try that later next year. But right now, we're focused primarily on how do we how do we do the best we can for the corporate video industry, right? And then we're kind of leaning into podcasts as well because there's some demands.
Hmm.
Well, there's a lot of demand there, but there are some tools that just fall short, and we're trying to kind of fill that gap as well.
Well, I can tell you from my personal experience, I have to use a bunch of tools to get through the process. So if there is one platform that can help and streamline the whole end-to-end production, that would be awesome. I'll be the first customer of yours.
So Vid, that's exactly what we do in all the other video productions, right? You can come up with an idea, and you can go from concept to completion on our platform. Podcast, it's a little different because we're not in the streaming capture video business, but we're going to have tools that once your podcast is done, you can upload it and do a bunch of things with it and do it
Hmm.
quickly, efficiently, and still maintain that quality because it's not 100% AI.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess there are simple version of podcasts like this one right now. Like we remote, we just have the screen and things like that. But then you have also studio recordings with multiple cameras and
Yeah.
multiple mics and people, and that gets even more complicated.
Yeah.
But I
So
guess, hmm,
I have a podcast called Makers and Jam. I'm a musician. So I pull in artists in a studio and we interview them and we play music, and it's a 6 camera shoot.
yeah,
And when it's done, we actually upload it into Lucihub to get all our cut downs. So I
yeah,
use our product in that way.
yeah. Well, that's great. So that is a market. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So
But
let's
honestly, we have our
let's
hands full with just the corporate video side of things.
yeah, yeah. So let's talk about the product management side of it, I guess. Um, so you have come up with this idea, and I guess it's already past MVP and everything. So
Oh yeah, it's in production. It's been in production for about a year now.
yeah. So how do you continue innovating in this with your team and coming up with all these new ideas and things like what's like kind of like what's the process?
So it's there's a few things. One is we have a roadmap of what we think customers want, and then we get feedback from customers on what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's a combination of all of it. Sometimes we have one customer who ran into some challenges because of the scale. So we had to put some tools in place to address all the notifications they were getting and all the people getting involved, stuff that we didn't really think about until we started scaling. And so it's kind of a balancing act between what does the roadmap look like for what we think we want to build for the customer and what the customer wants. And it's constantly changing. I mean, candidly, we could have a sprint schedule for, the next sprint, and something would come up and we'd say, oh boy, you know what, this is going to take precedence, and we'll go ahead and change that. But it's interesting because innovation isn't a linear line, right? It's like this, and so we're constantly pivoting, we're constantly changing directions. Even this company, when I started it, we were going after wedding videos. We would turn around a wedding video in 2 hours. So 2 hours into the reception, your wedding video was done, and that leaned into corporate video production and services. So I think we threw away 3 MVPs before we settled on the product we have today.
Okay, well, that's what good startups do, right? You experiment a bunch and you see what actual problem people have.
Yeah, we joke about it because the product is like, we actually built 3 products in 18 months, and we stuck with this one. So
yeah. Do you have any sort of success metric of how you measuring like new features that you deployed or feedback you mentioned, uh, how successful it's going?
yeah, so that's actually a really good question. One of the metrics we measure is video consumption, is how many projects a client is doing with us.
Hmm.
And so one of the things we look at is how could some features actually help them do more. This podcasting piece, this piece that we're talking about rolling out is one of those features. It actually came about because we looked at what it was taking for us to do testimonial videos for clients, and we knew there was a better way to do it. And so we leveraged AI to be able to do that piece. And but the idea is that it's AI plus people. Again, in this case, it's AI plus the customer. They're going to make the decision on what they want cut down, and then the system's going to do 90% of it, and we'll take the other 10% and get it done. So it's so one of the things we measure is how do we get them to use the platform more and more and more and more. And so we try to build features that help enable collaboration. Right? Maybe it's uh, a specific use case and it requires stock footage or something. So that's one of the things we play with regularly is how are they
Yeah,
using it and how can we get them to use it more?
yeah. Uh, yeah, you need that some kind of hook for that, um, to keep people coming back and using it, especially with the corporations. But then I guess, what kind of growth strategies do you have for expanding to maybe new markets or grabbing more customers
So I'll tell you
that
what's
you
really
already have?
interesting about this company, because it's distributed and it's a SaaS. It was global from day one. We have customers all over the world using it, which is interesting.
Hmm.
Today, our business is focused in the U.S., and that's where our marketing dollars go, and that's where our sales team is. But just through word of mouth and conversations like I'm having with you, companies in other countries have actually reached out and started using the platform. But our strategy really is it's B2B. We have an enterprise sales model, and today we're focused on certain verticals in the US.
It's basically like online thing, right? You go subscribe, somebody reach out to you, and
Yep, you go
you good to
subscribe, you set
go.
up your account with us, you sign your subscription, you get onboarded, and then you go to town and start making your projects.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's interested to get in touch and play with it, do you have like a free trial to play or?
So the first thing we do is we kind of make sure the customer is the right customer for us and vice versa.
Mhm.
Um, and then if they're interested, yeah, we do. We'll onboard them and give them a free trial and let them play with the platform.
Okay. And can you say now how people can reach out and subscribe?
Sure, they can go to lucihub.com, which is Lucihub, lucihub.com, and they can fill out a form there, and somebody from the team will reach out and basically determine if they're the right fit for the platform and vice versa.
Yeah. Okay. And this process, it doesn't take that long, of
No, in
onboarding.
fact, I have a really good story for you. We were demoing a very large global company, and 15 minutes into the demo, she stops me. She says, "So you mean?" She says, "We have an event going on globally. You're telling me that everybody around the world could be filming right now. We can upload it to Lucihub, and tomorrow morning you'll have a video for us to finish and send out." And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Boy, I wish I knew. We would have definitely done this." And I said, "No, you can do that now." We literally onboarded her in less than 15 minutes. And that evening, all the videos started coming in from around the world. And the next day, we had a video delivered for her. So
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a
that's
pretty
great.
simple process.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know sometimes people can get stuck in that stage for a very long time, trying to get everything right. Yeah. So,
Well, we put it out and we let the customers tell us what we need to make right. I think too many startups and too many product teams get stuck in this development cycle that never actually releases a product or releases it way too late. And my mindset is just get it out there. They're going to tell you what they like and what they don't like.
so what do you think was the key to your success in this industry? I mean, media industry, especially these days, like anybody can start picking up camera and shooting.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what's really been helpful for us is the combination of tech and people. There aren't very many managed service companies that the whole business sits on top of this tech platform that's basically driving the business. And so I think what's unique about Lucihub is that we're a managed service that has tech and AI in its DNA from day one. And we built the business so that you've integrated the people and the teams together. And that's what gives us our efficiencies and our scale. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know too many production companies that started with a tech model and then wove the team into it.
I see. Okay. So yeah, I guess for somebody who's trying to disrupt such an industry or start something maybe not similar because they will be a competitor,
That's
but
okay.
um, what would be your advice to those people, young entrepreneurs who have ideas?
So I mean, the key advice is just do it. Most people just don't ever do it. They talk about it, they talk about it, they talk about it, but they never actually take the step forward. And I think what's really important to understand is even if it doesn't work, those are life lessons that there's only one way to learn them, and it's by doing it. You can read all the books you want in the world, but you're not going to know what it's like when you're a week short from payroll and haven't figured out how to bring it up. Or,
Mm.
you've built this product and the success of it relies on landing your one contract that's going to keep the doors of the business open. There's a lot of lessons that you're not going to learn unless you actually do it. So my advice to young entrepreneurs is just go do it, because even a failure is still a win.
Yeah, I heard somebody saying there's no failures, there's only lessons learned.
Only lessons. It's
Uh,
true.
uh,
It's
yeah,
true. It's totally true. So that's my advice. And we touched on the MVPs. Too many
yeah.
people try to build the perfect product and roll it out. I mean, when we first rolled out this platform, it was literally it's the back end was it was I mean, it was a mess of a back end, and we had to do things manually, and we had a spreadsheet, and it was so if we all laugh about if the client only knew what the first iteration of this product was, you know, with engineers doing things manually and stuff to make it happen. But that's what it took to get it out there and get feedback really quickly and get us to market faster. We could have spent 6 months building the first version of this, but in 6 months we did at least 2 iterations, got tons of feedback, changed 2 industries, and ended up in a much better place.
Yeah, I call it like a perfection paralysis, right? People get stuck in it all the time and they keep building and adding and adding and never release it and never hear actual feedback from people. And that's just bad.
Well, I'll tell you what's bad about that is as a startup, you have a very finite runway. Your runway might be months. If you're lucky, it's a year, but it's usually weeks or months to get to the
Hmm.
next milestone or the next milestone. And I've seen it happen too much where they just focus on making the product better and better and better.
Yeah, and I guess going back to the very first thing you said about uh, experience in large and small companies, this is where you will definitely see this a lot happening because ideas, there are tons of ideas in big companies, and only a handful of them are getting executed and actually properly executed because most of them are just dying. There's like crazy statistics, like 80% of features are never used or something like that. If you
Well,
start
I mean, we
tracking
look
it.
at our product, we actually kill features. We track everything and we look at usage, and in our world, in the SaaS world, some of these things actually are costing us money, even if they're sitting there idle. And so we
Hmm.
just killed them. We said, okay, well, if it's not being used and it's not core to the business, let's just eliminate it.
That's another great way to innovate. Eliminate
Yeah.
something that is waste, basically. Yeah.
So when we launched the Creative Copilot, it does a lot. It was really not just designed as a production tool, but more of a marketing tool. So you can create a press release, you can create a blog, you can create images, you can create all kinds of things. So then what we did is we looked at the primary usage. We said, well, the primary workflow when people come to this cloud is production. They don't care about images. They don't care about press releases. They don't care about any of this. So then we looked at the cost behind all of that and maintaining all that. We said, you know what? Let's just kill this. We'll kill this and we'll kill this. no one's ever going to know because they never really touched them. And the people who did touch them, they can go find that tool somewhere else. It's not pertinent to the video creation process.
Yeah, that's also very important. I think it's another lesson from your example is to stick to your vision.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you will spread thing and nothing will work.
Well, and I'm guilty of that too, right? I've got to reel myself back in. I'm the guy who chases a million shiny objects, and it's been a lot of years and a lot of work to bring it down and say, okay, well, we're not going to chase this one. We're going to chase this one instead.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a great story from your end. Thank you for sharing it. And
hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I hope people will enjoy this and they will try your tool. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. And I'll be happy to host you sometime in the future when you go for the Hollywood or something.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Amer.
All right. Take care of it. Bye.